This DJNTV show is sponsored by DJ Event Planner, Electra Voice, DJ Trivia and DJ Bingo, ProX Direct, NLFX Pro, Promo Only, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, JMOZ Lighting, Instant DJ Requests, and our DJNTV Insiders. This is John Young from DJNTV. Thanks for watching.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hanging Out with Howie. Tonight, we're going to follow up with the virtual training night. And it had to do with, how do you manage and without getting burned out, several events in a week. And there was some really, I know I watched the whole thing. I saw you in there, John, as well.
Yep.
Aaron, you were there. But welcome, and we have a new friend. Forgive me, Joe. I can't see your last name.
It's Corrales.
Welcome, and welcome, Aaron. Welcome, JC from Mexico City. Came all the way. And Aaron, well, my God, trains, planes, and automobiles, all the way from Canada. And of course, my road dog, John Cawley from Boston, Mass, who hooked a sound system all the way down and handled it about 8 times or so up and down through the room.
You got very good with all the shortcuts in that building, let me tell you.
We'll start with you then. How do you keep from burning out?
From the burnout show that they just did on the training, I did watch through the whole thing, and they all kind of had a similar idea: is that you have to put some time outside for yourself. You have to block it on a calendar. I mean, this business is all consuming, and it can really take up every minute of your day if you let it. So yeah, you have to make yourself take breaks. And a lot of times we want to be so forward thinking. Say, I'm going to work on the hard drive today. I'm going to label all my cables, and it's once in a while you just got to step away and just let it be, and take a day to walk through a park, look at some flowers, and do something different. That's kind of the thing, because usually when it hits and the business is busy, it's feast or famine. It's gung ho, and it's like 3 in a row, and then you might have like the next weekend you'll have off entirely. So it's pacing. Right. And not burning yourself out too fast.
Right. And getting your voice back, right? Now, Jay, if there ever was a road dog, it's got to be you. He used to put on like 50,000 miles a year flying, and you've been very busy. I mean,
yeah, it's been a busy. It was a quiet July, but it got busy suddenly because I had a lot more responsibility for the DJX show. So I was doing something with the show pretty much every day, but it would be getting an email from someone going, yeah, we need to book a dinner for 20 people. So it was kind of exciting because I had to, it was a lot of find my way stuff, like, oh, let me call the hotel, see what the restaurants offer, and then put together little packages. I tried to start something today, but I had a wedding Saturday. If you see my TikTok, I brought a laser thermometer. Because it was 105 degrees out, and I wanted to kind of track the temperatures. I set up my Evolve 50s, and within half an hour, the surface temperature on the speaker was 161 degrees.
Wow.
So my black tablecloth was registering at 152 degrees.
Yikes.
So even though I was mellow yesterday, I found when I got up today, I wasn't really ready to get crazy. But I'd read an article a couple weeks back about doing things in blocks of 30. And I was going to try to start that today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And it was specific to, if you're going to do cables, set a timer for 30 minutes and do cables. If
Mhm.
you're going to do hard drives, do it for 30. If you're going to do email, do it for 30. And it gives you a better perspective on how much you can get done. Because I'm terrible about, get up and go. When I've had those 3, 4, 5 event weeks,
Right.
I get panicked. I really do, because I have so much paperwork laid out. And
Mhm.
where I get the most anxious, I did this back in, I think, April or May. I had a weekend of 4 weddings, Thursday to Sunday. I get most scared about saying the wrong names. So I tend to handwrite the names of the bride and groom on all the paperwork like 5 times a night because I'm so afraid to say, "Hey, big round of applause, Mr. and Mrs. John." Sally and So like John said, it totally is feast or famine. And when you're really busy, I'm grateful, probably more than anything else. But I really make an effort to try to stay super organized, which I'm not. So I kind of envy hearing what everyone else's thoughts are.
Oh, very good. Joe.
Where to start? So I'm kind of the opposite because my company is a part-time company. I have a full-time job Monday through Friday. So actually, for me, the events are my de-stressor.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I agree. And right now it's been a rough summer because my wife's father passed away in June. But now she, as a teacher, is getting ready to go back to school. The kids are going back to school. So I'm kind of in my stress mode right now with all of the things that are coming up. But for me, I look forward to the events. It's my chance to step away, work on the planning, work on the music, and that's kind of my focus. And then my other distressor is actually getting back into the gym. And as they were talking about
Right.
at the end of the show is, trying to work out, trying to start watching my diet and work on getting healthier. So that's for me.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Aaron, man, you
doing,
must have
Howie?
awesome trains, planes, and automobiles all the way from Canada.
Yeah, it was a heck of a go to get out, and I need to pay attention next time when I'm booking my flight. That's how I knew I was getting burned out. I booked my flight back, and I didn't notice the AM to PM difference on my return flight. It was just shy of 10 hours from my arrival time in Toronto to get to Calgary and to my boarding time. So I sat on the airport floor
Oh,
going from limos and eating out some fantastic food as per Bill Marsh's recommendation and hanging out with the guys here and traveling in a limo to sitting on a floor in an airport in Toronto trying to find the only open Tim Hortons in the entire airport. There's only one and it's at the far end and sitting there for 10 hours. So, but you know what? I didn't care. I was still smiling from the event, all the stuff I took in. I was seriously, my July was stupid busy. And then into August, I'm busy. I did an event, packed my bags, jumped on the plane, jumped in the car, got on the plane, to a train, to the event. And you know what? For me, it was awesome. I feel totally recharged now. I went into it burned out and, up for 2 days, of course, when getting there, not able to sleep on the plane. And then to the show, to seeing all these awesome DJs and meeting all these great people and people like Freddie over here, dude. I loved meeting you, man. You give up such a good vibe and great energy. Going to see Jay at the show and he's smiling. There's people walking around asking questions and the music's pumping everywhere you go. And I just felt like diving back into it more was great for me. Like, absolutely give me that. Wow, I can't wait. To get back.
I know what you mean. It's different from a Zoom meeting to in person where we're hugging each other and talking and not necessarily all about, music or DJing, family things, whatever, that kind of thing. How you're
absolutely. And getting to know people a bit better. JC, being my roomie for the last week was awesome. And now I'm fluent in Spanish, I mean,
Well, now that you mention that, we'll go to JC. JC,
Sure.
how about
You
you?
know what I do to this stress and to look forward is to plan my vacations going to Expo beforehand. No? This way I can have that going forward, and I know it's gonna be my relaxed time and my party time, and that is great. No?
Yes, I agree. I agree. Freddie, it was great to see you again. Whenever I see you, you always have a smile or you're dancing. You just like you came right up to me. You were dancing. A big hug. I love that. So
Awesome.
what's your take on
Well, for me, I'm like Joe. I have a full-time job. I've been with Sprint, who is now T-Mobile. I've been with them for 20 something years. So the DJ thing has been a part-time thing for me, but I love it. So it's my way to, I don't get the feedback like I do. If I do a good job at Sprint, you know, it's a more corporate environment. The feedback is just not there like it is for mainly what I do is weddings and instant gratification, the smiles, the whole thing. So I hit that hard. Plus, I have a family. So with all that going on and planning the meetings and doing all this and doing events on the weekends, by the time I get to that July and August, going to DJX for me is my recharge. That's my halftime show. The first 2 quarters are done. I recharge, and then I look at it from September to December, January. I just need to finish that out. And because recharge, maybe I learned some new tricks. I got to see some old friends. I've been in the business. You know, it's just that's kind of my recharge. Yeah. So
cool. Thank
I
you.
love seeing you guys. I mean, I just get energy from being you guys. Sometimes just talking to everybody and getting confirmation and affirmation that you guys are doing some of the same things that I'm doing. You know, it just makes it a great event to be at. So thank you.
Thanks, Freddie. Bill from Maryland.
Hey.
The foodie in the group.
Yeah. the food tour guide. So for me, it's I actually feel like the way to keep from getting burnt out is to never do the same job back to back. And what I simply mean by that is every wedding I do has a little bit of something different music wise, or you know, the couple is different. From back in my days in doing just little theater stuff, there was a saying: your next show is your best show is your next show. And so I've always kind of tried to take that approach too. This has always been a full-time thing for me since middle of 96. Both with a multi-up company and then leaving and doing things on my own. But now I do have this distraction called the part-time, hey, it's going to be 3 weeks job that I've had since last August or October. So, I'm coming up on my 10-month anniversary with them. And, it's the longest 3 weeks I've had. Excuse me. I'm getting all choked up over that. It's the longest 3 weeks I've had since 2020. And, it has been a distraction though. It's been, something to kind of just take my mind off things. But at the same time, half the day I'm there, I'm on the phone or doing emails or something for my DJ business. So it works out. But I think burnout comes when you stop liking what you do, or when you lose the passion for it. And if you are going to lose the passion for it, then you might as well let yourself get burnt out. Humorously, the only other way to avoid burnout is to just suck down a fire extinguisher every week or so.
All right. Now, how many in here had events right after Expo? Like you get home and it's like, okay, this weekend. Go ahead, Jay. I figured you would be one for sure.
Well, this was my 18th Expo. and I'm counting 2020 since we had to do some online stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of 2 in 18 years where I didn't have a gig the night before. And it's always been a running joke about do the wedding on Saturday, drive home, unload the gear, take a shower, grab the pre-made suitcase, get in the car and go to the airport. Well, coming home, as all of you know, and if you don't know, I'll give you a quick Atlantic City location to Philadelphia Airport. If you take the train, which we used to do all the time, the train's an hour and a half and it runs every hour and a half. So if you have a 9 a.m. flight, you might be taking a 4:45 train.
Yes.
Because of the way the clock works. So you're not, you're not getting on trains at 7 in the morning. You're getting on them super early. Well, Thursday night used to be the scribble party, like years ago. So it was deadly. So this year, I knew I had a wedding on Saturday, but I arranged my flight like in June to leave at 1:35. I'm like, let me get a couple hours sleep Thursday and I'll head to the airport. The problem was by the time I got to Atlantic City last week, all I kept hearing was, hey, flights are getting canceled. Hey, flights are getting canceled.
It was scary.
And I contemplated moving my booking up. I was roomed with Pulse, as I have for every show. And Pulse left at 5 in the morning to catch a 10 a.m. flight. So he had to leave the hotel at 5. He got, I think he took the train to Philly and then got an Uber to the airport or something. But he's like, in order to get there in time, I got to leave here at 5 a.m. So I'm like, forget that. I'm going to sleep in. And just side story, if you've never done this, it's terrifying. I got up at 6, took the shower, watched a little news in bed and thought, let me lie down for 5 minutes.
Oh no. Danger.
No.
9:55, the phone's ringing. Hey, we're in the lobby. The Uber will be here in 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'll be down in 11. Literally grabbed everything, shoved it in the suitcase and shot downstairs. But when I got to the airport, my flight was on time. So I'm like, okay, I'll get to Phoenix and then I'll go to San Diego. We had a storm in Phoenix. We got rerouted to Palm Springs.
Oh.
And we went back to Phoenix and I moved my flight from the delayed 6:40 flight or 5:40 flight to an 8:05 flight and made it. And when I got on the plane, the guy next to me goes, man, we're lucky. You're going to San Diego? I'm like, yeah. He goes, we're lucky, huh? I go, what do you mean? He goes, this is the last flight out of the airport tonight.
Whoa.
Now, the only Benny is I guess I could have gotten my kid to drive 6 hours. And I'm not flexing, but when I called Connor from Palm Springs to say, hey, you may need to pick me up, he went right to the obvious. He goes, I'll fly there. So the backup was fly to Phoenix, pick me up, fly me back home. But I mean, not everyone has that luxury. So it's dicey when you're traveling out. I mean, the smart part is this is my, 200,000 miles in the last 7 years logic. One, always look where you're flying into. Stay away from Chicago.
Yes.
And I'm not, that's not a slam on Buddy or anything. That's just the reality. Chicago is the worst airport to get delayed out of. I always fly out of Phoenix. So I fly San Diego or LA to Phoenix, Phoenix to Boston, Phoenix to New York, Phoenix to Florida, wherever. Because the weather in Phoenix is rarely bad. Like in the winter, if you're flying out of a cold place, try to fly to a warm place because there's probably not a delay.
Right.
So where I got scared senseless the other night was when we hit the runway in Palm Springs and they said, yeah, we're not letting anyone off. I live an hour and a half from Palm Springs. I had to fly back to Phoenix. I live 6.5 hours from Phoenix. So I'm the first to admit, if I had to do it over again, I would have booked an earlier flight. The other thing, if you don't fly a lot, is the earlier your flight is booked, if it gets canceled, you're the most likely to go to the next flight. If you book a late flight, there may not be many options. And we had an experience a few years ago. We couldn't land in Dallas, so they rerouted us to Phoenix. Luckily, I was going to San Diego, but American Airlines said, we can get you out of here tomorrow at 8 o'clock to Palm Springs, or we can get you out to San Diego at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Same problem. I had a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you don't have to stay the extra day, my advice to everyone is consider leaving Thursday at DJ Expo if you have a wedding on Saturday, because you may run into problems with weather. It's dicey at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this year it got real dicey. And fortunately, my lovely wife likes to remind me every other phone call, they're canceling a lot of planes. What?
Well,
You know, and
she wants to cheer you up.
right. And I'm in between ordering rounds of shots and stuff. And I'm like, oh no, I'm looking at the weather map right now.
Yeah.
I think she said she was a meteorologist. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, you know, you put it in perspective. But yeah, it's tough when you go to the other coast. And I know for people like Aaron, I mean, I know JC ran into some issues. It's hard. You've got to plan your travel. You know, I understand things are expensive, but if you have to spend $100-200 more to guarantee you get to your event, then spend it.
Right.
You know, I mean, people like by the way, you can fly into Atlantic City if you fly Spirit Airlines. I'd rather walk, but if you had to, you could take Spirit Air like that. You got to keep that in the back of your head though. Like if they canceled my flight in Philly, I would have shot to the airport in Atlantic City and tried to jump a Spirit plane to get me close to home. And that way I can start maneuvering. You know, Dallas is a big hub. Phoenix is pretty big. LAX is obviously big. But if you're flying to a winter show, don't go LA, Denver, wherever, because Denver's going to have snow, you know?
Yeah.
And so just my 2 cents worth.
So did anybody else gig right after Expo?
Yeah, I had one before. I had the Saturday night before. So I had to bring it home, tear all the lights out of it because I wasn't the lighting guy. I didn't have to bring any of that to Atlantic City. So thank God. So, but yeah, that's real quick repack, and then it's, you know, on the road Monday. And I feel for you guys that had a show coming back at the end of that. Ooh.
Yeah,
well,
me too.
I mean, either way, it's either before or after. I mean, I've done it many times where it's like, man, you get back and it's like, oh, I got a wedding on Saturday. You know, I did that with Jimmy Spin, the late great Jimmy Spin, where he needed help, and we left on that Thursday, and then drove down to North Carolina, and then we had to get all our stuff together, and boom, you know, it was like, okay, off to this wedding. We're both exhausted after being there all week, but you know, you put on your stage health and you know, you do your job, you know.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add, Howie, that's off topic completely. It's sort of on and off. Well, no, it's not that bad. By the way, with what Bill said about the best, if Brian was here, Brian would have coaxed me into the like, go ahead, Jay, say it. At which point I would have said, you're only as good as your last gig. But one thing that definitely is inspiring when you get to the shows and coming by the booth and seeing that I'm in a good mood, tired, hungover, whatever, but I'm still in a really good mood. There's probably, no lies, maybe 50 or 60 people throughout the show that will come up to me and be like, hey man, I don't know if you remember me. I came in here a couple years ago and I asked you about, I had a MacBook Pro and I was having a problem with the DDJ SX3 and the filter wouldn't work. And it's like every time I'm like, oh yeah, how'd that work out for you? Oh, it worked out perfect. You said do this, this, and this. But the biggest thing at this show that I got comments on, like random at bars, walking down the boardwalk and the hallways, wherever, was, hey man, hey Jay, you don't know me. I just want to thank you. You, Howie, and Brian, man, I watch your show every week. So I was shocked.
I got a lot of that too.
I got that too, and I'm new.
You know what, the common thing that was said to me was, you guys are really funny, but you drop a lot of nuggets.
That's exactly what I got. It's really funny to watch, but I always learn something.
Yeah.
And I was really touched, the number of people that stopped me, went out of their way to come over.
Too.
I was super happy.
I was so touched that someone actually made a case that it was not like being in a a dry seminar. Like it was a collaboration where we're joking around. It's fun to learn. And I was like, wow, what that just blew me away.
Well, I mean, and somebody asked me about it. They were like, how do you guys set it up? I'm like, it's 100% off the cuff.
It is.
Like, you're kidding. I'm like, and they'd been at my seminar. They're like, well, like with this, you have lists and you have lines. And I'm like, I have absolutely nothing that I'm working from. This is 100% in the moment, on the spot. Let's go. But that's the beauty of learning as a DJ. There's always something. Like what I didn't know 20 years ago, I picked up 19 years ago, and then 18. And, you keep growing, hopefully. And I'll give my friend Bill in Boston credit. He's great for saying, have you done 20 years of weddings, or have you done the same wedding for 20 years?
Right.
And I think most DJs that tune into this network are DJs that are constantly in growth. Like they don't want to just keep delivering the same product over and over and over again. And even if you just make a cheese pizza, it's probably better tasting today than it even was 20 years ago. Because you're constantly learning. You're constantly striving to be the best at what you do. And it speaks volumes about the audience of Disc Jockey News TV that come in to watch the shows. I mean, they want to learn. They want to get better. And I'm so happy that we do the show. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm asking for a massive, massive raise. So if I'm not around after this week, it's because my agent and, John Young, who I don't think is around anymore, but quote unquote, oh no, he's still here.
It's a hologram now.
Yeah, couldn't come to terms on the price thing.
Yeah.
But, to be the first $1 million a week DJ on Disc Jockey News TV has been a goal of mine for a couple of years, and this could do it. This could do it. I've had the comments. I registered them. I made logs. Izzy,
shoot for the stars, man. Shoot for the stars.
Yeah, Izzy Itzkowitz, my agent from Dewey, Cheatham and Howe accounting firm, says that we have a good case.
Well, I must say, I was very surprised the number of people that watched the show that I have never seen in, like you would just see, their name if they're watching, or they watch the YouTube rerun and they come up and, hey, Howie. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Have we met? And they go, no, but watch your show, man. We'd love you guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that it was very touching. And that really energized me.
You took the words out of my mouth on that. That's exactly my feeling as well. And it really, if at all I was tired, to know that people are like-minded and want to be better at what they do and want to keep growing. I mean, because, we joke around, but the reality is I do want to be a better DJ next year than I was this year. And then the year after and year after and year after. But I can't learn if I don't offer something to someone in hopes that they'll offer it back. In hopes that they'll say, oh, what about, you should try this.
Right. But you made a good point about, and I said that too, to a few people, like, you guys script this thing, and I'm like, no, we're off the cuff. And some of our best shows are like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know, just hit record and we'll do it. And
here we go.
but that helps us in our craft when we're out performing, because you never know what's going to happen. It happened to me last year where, they forgot their bustle at the church. So, okay, half hour to go and get that. I had a cover for that. Because I made an announcement. Oh, no. They come up. Oh, no. We can't do it yet. And then I had to come up with something, on the spur of the moment, just impromptu, make it funny, make it engaging, and get them to dance and divert their attention from, hey, sorry, it's not, the exact time on the timeline, but
no, we have to be quick. That's a skill a DJ needs. We got to be on our toes at all times. You never know what's going to come down. They forgot that. Who knows what's going to happen? We had one where the water, we lost all water. So of course the kitchen had to close. So everything had to close. And we had to evacuate and go outside. Like, what do? Grab gear, go outside. You know,
Yeah.
there's things that happen, things come up. You have to constantly adjust. You got to be able to roll with it.
I'm just thinking, where were you doing these gigs? That they lost water and you evacuated?
Oh, man.
What kind of woodsy?
All the pipes froze. He's in Canada.
Like, you know, you couldn't
come
have
see
gone
me.
to John Young. He was in that little house on the
I'm gonna
lake.
get you to do a wedding with me. Let's go. Well, I'll show you.
Dress warm.
You know what? I'd sweat too much wearing the fur. That's the first problem I'd have.
Wait till you see my photos. Come back
Okay, everybody, another Rush
on
song.
Sunday. On Sunday, I have 2 weddings this week, and I've got a festival. When I'm done all that, I'll send you some photos. Wait till you see where I'm going to be.
I've spoken to many of your brethren up there in Canada, and I know you guys have challenges. I've never had a moose go through the tent at my wedding. I know there are things you guys are going to run into.
You got to have bear spray.
I'm not going to.
You know,
I wouldn't even say. I would have hand sanitizer.
Well, he's chasing the moose.
You
I
would
would
have
be lost. Who would even know this?
If they didn't have water in the building, where are you gonna? Hey, where's the bathroom? See that bushes over there? Yeah,
right.
You
can't be.
Ladies' room is the taller bush. Yeah,
facility.
just so everyone's aware when they get outside.
Right.
Like they weren't already there.
The tall bushes for the women, the smaller bushes are for the
Folks, the buffet line starts right next to the caution tape. If you want to head over to the right side, we evacuate after the water goes out.
Yeah, got inside this bear tracks. Like, should we be here? Is this safe?
Is this safe? Is that really what Sasquatch looks like? Yeah,
but, you know, it could be a million different things. You know, it could be, and we got to be able to be there for the people. That's what they're there. We're there for the people. I had a storm come through on my wedding last year, and I'm like, you know what? I got my battery pack. I'm going to plug in my speaker. My controller's still on. While they're trying to get the tents down, while the tents are falling down around them, the storm's busting in, I'm still playing.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do this. Let's dance in the rain. You know what? You make it through this, you're going to make it through anything. That bride and groom came up afterwards, and they said, what you said was fundamental to us.
Right.
Because we made it through that on our wedding day. And we got together and we pulled together as a unit. And you never turned off the music, and neither will we.
Do I hear I Made It Through the Rain playing in the background? See where I went?
Oh, hey,
see where I went?
Thunder and lightning, knock on wood. Yeah.
Release the shine.
Wait, is that Chain Lightning by 38 Special that's softly playing in the background too?
Are we going to start doing storm songs now?
No.
Oh, hey, Edmund Fitzgerald came out of Canada, even though it was an American issue. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Right.
No, actually, we're going to close it out now on a funny and high note and say thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here on the panel, each and every one of you. And as always, viewers, if you have something, a topic or something you want us to cover, leave it in the comments down below when this goes to YouTube. And we'll be happy to cover it. Or we just might go off track and have fun and laugh like we did here now. So with that said, good night and thank you